just like we did on the 4th. Today, we're going to steal from time-honored stories. There's a Hollywood rumor that Night at the Museum was a scene-for-scene rewrite of Die Hard. That seems ridiculous, right? But my Masterworks Film Club actually investigated this rumor, and we found the rumor is largely true. Night at the Museum follows Die Hard's script scene for scene until the very end. After all, the end of Die Hard is a little dark for a kid's film. Turns out you can come up with something completely original by plagiarizing something else. Originality is the key to plagiarism. From William Noble's Steal This Plot. This time, I'm going to have you work with the classics. Pick a fairy tale, a Greek or Roman myth, or perhaps some Shakespeare drama. Something that's been around for a few generations and isn't too convoluted. Simple doesn't mean unsophisticated, though. Take the Greek myth of Theseus and the Minotaur, for example. The Minoans of Crete commanded their vassal state of Athens to send them 7 warriors and 7 virgins every 9 years as a sacrificial demonstration of their fealty. This tribute was imposed by King Minos in retribution for his son Adrigeus, who was killed in Athens. These flowers of Athenian youth are fed to the Minotaur, a half-man, half-beast, who lives in the center of an inescapable maze. Theseus, the son of the Athenian king, volunteers to go to Crete as an offering in order to kill the Minotaur and free Athens from this curse. He arrives, and to his great good fortune, Ariadne, daughter of King Minos, falls deeply in love with him. She gives him the string he needs to escape the maze and a sword with which to kill the monster in the middle. Theseus kills the Minotaur and escapes with Ariadne, but leaves her on an island off of Crete in obedience to a divine command. His first marriage after he returns to Athens is to an Amazon queen named Hippolyta. Now consider J.K. Rowling's cinematic story Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Though the protagonist, Newt Scamander, has a brother named Theseus, it's Newt who plays Theseus in Rowling's retelling of this classic. His adventure is a mission he takes to a foreign country in which he travels by boat. It is a secret mission that he cannot openly discuss, even with those who assist him. As the letter of his brother describes, Newt has come to the U.S. at the direction of Dumbledore to find Gellert Grindelwald. The mission involves mastering magical creatures and surviving a trip into a death trap that is essentially an undeserved state execution. A woman highly placed helps him in this effort, but with the mission accomplished, and though she clearly loves him, he leaves her on the shore as he departs on a boat. His true but complicated love? A woman named Lita. At the story midpoint, Newt and Tina, Adriana's stand-in, find themselves miles beneath the magical Congress of the United States of America, MAC USA, staring into the death pool after a meeting with Grindelwald, who has assumed the human identity of Percival Graves, a high-ranking Auror in the United States. This is the moment when Newt has reached the center of the maze. Newt's improbable, liberating victory over the half-man, half-beast of Grindelgraves completes the parallel to the Greek myth. Rowling has never shied away from heavy themes with her young audience. Both Greek myths and Rowling's films have as their theme the question of who really is the monster here, the Minotaur or the king who sends innocents to their death, the Obscurial or the people who traumatize the boy into repressing his magical abilities and thereby created the Obscurus in the first place, or the people who wanted to control the Obscurial and use him as a weapon. As Rowling herself said, "Finally, I'm exploring the idea of creating beasts, which is to say, othering or dehumanizing our fellow people as the first step toward cruelty or extermination. The human world around Newt and his friends is becoming darker and more complex, and the original hunt for the escaped creatures will become a hunt for something much more elusive and difficult, a return to humanity." For more discussion on the Greek mythos origin of Rowling's film, see the video notes for a link to John Granger's 2016 post to Hogwarts Professor. To begin to rewrite a classic in your own voice, you need to understand the original story. Read and reread the original story. Read it once for pleasure, then a second time to tease out each of the major elements of the story. List the original story's plot, character, themes, settings before you start changing things. The show notes has a table you can use. If the story has cultural or historical context, research that too. See the show notes for a list of helpful resources. Next, determine which elements are essential to the story and which can be changed. Brainstorm possible changes and add them to the chart you started making in step 1. Adapt the story to a different genre. Turn a classic story into a horror tale, a sci-fi adventure, a fantasy quest, a romance, a mystery, or any other genre. Rewrite a classic for children, middle grade, or young adults, adapting the tone, language, and complexity to suit an adult audience. Shift the point of view. Consider telling the story from a different character's point of view. Focus on characters whose voices might have been historically overlooked, providing new interpretations of the classic story, like Madeline Miller's Circe, which reimagines the story of Odysseus through the perspective of the witch goddess Circe. Or delve into the villain's motivations and backstory, as seen in Gregory Maguire's Wicked. Add to the original characters. Consider the original cast. What qualities do you want to keep? Which ones might you want to subvert? How is your character different, and how is your character like the original? Develop characters further, giving them more complex motivations and backstories. Reimagine characters in different roles. Transform a protagonist into an antihero, or give a side character a more central role. Introduce new characters that bring fresh perspectives, create new conflicts, or help explore new themes. Change the setting, move the story to a different time period, location, or even a different world. Set the story in the past or the future, exploring how the social and technical advancements of that era impact the characters and events. Or update the classic's setting, language, and cultural context to reflect contemporary society and make the story more relatable for modern audiences. You can also expand on existing storylines and subplots. Flesh out elements that were only briefly touched upon in the original story, adding more depth and complexity. Subvert expectations by changing the outcome or introducing unexpected events. Explore the themes differently. What do you want to achieve with your retelling? Consider what is your unique angle and why are you choosing to rewrite this specific story? Pick and choose the ones that will enhance your new story the most and weave them in. Reimagine the story's themes through a modern lens or from a different perspective. Change the ending so it dramatically alters the original conclusion. Add layers of meaning to the original story by emphasizing or exploring themes or motifs not explicitly presented in the original. Consider adding a recurring symbol of the value at stake. Now create your first draft, focusing on incorporating your changes. Avoid mere imitation. Strive to create a new take on the classic that still evokes the essential or the original, striking a balance between respecting the source material and exercising creative freedom. Pay close attention to details. Ensure your rewritten story is engaging, cohesive, and true to your vision. Post a brief synopsis in our chat and join us again tomorrow for another brainstorming session.